tankers, welcome back to my videos. I am Blitz, and today we are going over yet again another premium tank, this being the T26e4 American Tier 8 Medium. Now, this tank may look like a medium, but it does not act like a medium. It is pretty much the opposite of a T95e6. This is what the T95e6 wished it could have been, a medium stuck with a heavy tank's body. It's a very, very, very thick tank. It's almost impossible to penetrate this with any tier 7. But I am, as always, going to start off with the characteristics and then get into how to run this vehicle, how to take it out, and whether or not it's worth it. Also, if you do like my content, please hit me up with a subscribe button. So, starting off, this tank has 1400 hit points, which is actually pretty good for the mediums. And I run the HP buff, so it brings it up to 1485. This tank has 290.4 meters of view range, which is very healthy, especially for a tank this slow. And the firepower, it does 2,227 damage per minute. I do run calibrated, so it brings your damage per minute down to 2,071, not a huge difference. But calibrated brings your standard penetration of 205 up to 215. And your 258 on your APCR up to 271. So I do just like it because it makes it seem better to penetrate your shells. Now it does 225 damage, which is not a crazy amount, but it still has at least some damage. If you didn't know, this used to have the same gun as the T25-2, but they did buff the penetration on the gun, but unfortunately when they buffed the penetration, they made the reload slower. Now this gun has a 6.06 reload time, but you can see mine is 6.5, and that is because I'm running calibrated, so it's barely even a difference. Now this tank has a 2.08 second aiming time, which is not bad at all. However, the dispersion on this gun is 0.344, which is terrible. And if you didn't know, Klaus Kellerman actually pointed this out in one of his videos. If you do watch him, aiming time is not what you think it is. It is actually how long it takes the reticle to get 2/3 of the size it starts at. So this tank has a very bad dispersion, so it's actually not a 2-second aiming time, it's more like a 4 or 5 second aiming time, I will point that out. Now this tank has 10 degrees of gun depression and 20 degrees of gun elevation and an aiming arc of 180 degrees each way. The turret traverse speed, by the way, is terrible, 24.3 degrees a second. That is one of the huge downfalls. The tank weighs 60 tons almost, so it is very heavy, and it goes 40.2 forwards and 18 backwards. However, its traverse speed is terrible. Not the traverse, its power to weight ratio is terrible. Its traverse is actually decent at 43.74. Now the concealment is 19%, so it is decent at concealment. It's not spectacular. You can see that we finished this game with 2,439 damage, sorry, and 45,000 credits. If you didn't know, this is the highest credit coefficient tank at tier 8. I think it's 190%. And this was without premium on. With premium, I would have gotten about 85,000 credits, and that is just amazing. This wasn't even a spectacular game. I just played this once this morning. You know, it's actually a pretty good tank, though. You can see we fired 11 shells, all 11 did hit. It's actually a very accurate gun, and I do like that. But let's get stuck into that second replay. Now before I get into how to run this vehicle, I'm just going to show you the armor real quick, and you can see it is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It is completely red on the front. The hull is about 253 on the upper plate, and about 180 on the lower plate. Now that is very thick, especially for a medium, and it's just super hard to penetrate it. Most people just load premium ammunition and shoot right through it. Now there are a couple weak spots you can see on it, like the little spot below the turret, but not many people know about that. The hull is pretty much impenetrable from most tier 7s and some tier 8s. The cheeks of the turret you can see are penable, about 120 thick. If you didn't know, the T26e4 is called the Super Pershing because it's a Pershing with just armor stuck on the front. It's a Pershing with more armor stuck on the front. But the turret mantlet is super thick, 205, 204. You're not getting through that mantlet. You know, the cheeks of it auto ricochets. It's just a super thick tank. You will not make it through that mantlet. Now, the one weakness of this tank is the side armor, about 177 when angling it just a little bit, which means that you can shoot the front track wheel very easily. It'll spin this tank as it's driving, and you will damage it. The side of this vehicle is only about 76 thick, as it is the same as a Pershing. The side of the turret's about 80, 90 thick, and the rear of this vehicle is 51 thick. So do keep that in mind, it is not super armored on the sides or the rear. Now you can see back into this game, we are completely just decimating this Yag Tiger. He shot us once, got detected, and we tapped him about 4-5 times. Now this E75 high rolls us for 540, which isn't very good, as now we are a one-shot to him. And I realize that, so I figure I need to back up here. I don't want to die. There's not much you can do in this situation when there's a tank that can easily penetrate you. You're really kind of screwed. You can't do much. Especially when that E50. Now, the E50 does have the stock gun, which is a plus for me, because he will have a much harder time penetrating me. But I'm sitting at 213 health, and he is sitting at 1805 health. So, really, if you were to think about this, I am going into the graves. And we have actually blocked quite a bit of damage, you can see, 1140. I just wish the mobility was a bit better on this tank. But you can see we bounced that E50 once, okay? So let's see how much damage we end up blocking here. That is 2 bounces. I'm like, man, this guy is not doing the best. And unfortunately, we're sitting at 213 health, which means he can easily kill us as long as he fires 1 shell. Again, he bounces another. Now he shoots a high explosive, ricochets that off our spaced armor. We have lowered him 1,100 hit points. We have now blocked 2,290 damage. We are doing great. This guy, is he going to bounce again? And yes, he bounces again. Now this E50 is down to a one-shot. So if he bounces this next shell, yes he does, he is going down right now. So we managed to block 2,730 damage this game, pick up 3,583 damage. Unfortunately, it wasn't a mastery, which is actually good because that's letting you guys know that the average player that plays this tank is actually very good. This tank is extremely good, 40,000 credits. If we had premium, 126,000. So we would have came up 85 or 89,000 credits in this game. Crazy amount. Really, you should pick this tank up. I think it's definitely worth the gold, especially because it comes with the camo, the attachment. I think it comes with full equipment. It's definitely worth it. I would say to pick it up. It's just a spectacular tank. It performs really well. If you push up against a bad player, this is an easy tank to carry in. That's just my review, though. If you have your own opinions, please let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks.